All right, now to our first conversation. Experts say family businesses are the backbone of many economies, accounting for a significant portion of global GDP. However, ensuring their longevity and success across generations is a complex challenge. Well, joining us to unpack this is Oyinkan Akinyoshoye. Is the Chief Operating Officer, My Family, My Business. Joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So what would you say are the key factors, influencing family business continuity and multi-generational wealth? Because right now we're seeing, economies are struggling right now with high cost of living, inflation, depreciating currency, in these parts. How are you seeing that?
So, the main issue is really governance structures. So and by governance structures, I mean the rules, the processes, the framework behind how the business is run. What are the structures that are in place to make sure that the business maintains accountability and transparency? Those in many cases are not lacking. So there's a desire to pass on wealth, but there's no real structure in place for helping to pass on wealth. So in a governance structure, for example, you have a family constitution, which lays out your family values and beliefs. You have a family council, you have recurring family meetings. And in order to do that, in order to pass on wealth, there needs to be a clear understanding on how this is to be passed on. What is the succession plan? That many times is lacking. So to answer your question, I think that family governance structure is what is key to make sure that things move on.
Looking at, the governance structure, but with all the, economic headwinds at this point, how hard is it getting, passing on wealth in this kind of economy?
I don't think it's a function of the amount. It's a function of the process. So whether I pass on 100 naira or I pass on 5 naira, it's still the same. Have you planned for it? Do you have a will? What do you hope to pass on to your next generation? I think that's the question we should be asking ourselves. It's less about what you have, and it's more about the processes you've put in place to pass on what you do have.
And how do you think family businesses can balance tradition and innovation to actually stay competitive? I saw a report recently from I believe it was a Money Point, talking about how these family businesses are doing so well and contributing to growth and the GDP of most of the economies that they operate in.
So in many cases, it's like almost sometimes a competition between the old and the new, but that's not what it is. It's understanding and respecting that each generation has something to bring. So the old generation has tradition, has values, has culture, and with it comes honesty, accountability, and trust from the public and credibility. That's on one side. And then the other side for the next gen is innovation, the ability to adapt to new markets, take advantage of economic trends or technological advancements. And I think it's a matter of each party respecting one another and being able to marry both to understand that to have a real multi-generational company, there needs to be a multi-generational workforce. And that's really important in the times that we're in now, to balance both.
And, talking about the times that we're in now, do you think it's okay for the new generation to say, you know what, let's do away completely with what, our predecessors were doing before, and let's just carry on with what's trending right now?
Oh, no, because they have laid the foundations for us. They have, once again, culture is so important. Values are so important. That basic foundation is so important. In fact, that is what a lot of consumers and customers look at when they look at family businesses, is that sense of trust, because you can identify with a family business. You have a family as well. So in many cases, it endears you to them. It makes you look at them as though it were yours. So family businesses have actually an advantage over non-family businesses. And if we're able to see that advantage and use it to its best ability, I think that we can win.
Now, how do you think, some of these businesses can protect their brands from becoming dinosaurs?
By dinosaurs, you mean?
Yeah, just, being old, in the business.
Okay, so I think the main thing here is being nimble, having a nimble structure. Is the way you've structured your business, is it able to adapt to the changes? So technology is constantly changing. For example, AI. How is your business responding to the changes in these times? AI is a big thing now. Have you looked at how to include it into your business processes? And there are other things that are going on in the world. Climate change is a big thing. How are you responding to that? What are the new market trends within the country, within the continent, and outside the continent that may or may not affect your business? I think that's understanding that innovation is key to making sure that the business remains sustainable is the way to go.
And you did, mention governance structures before, but let's look at how, family councils and trusts, the role they play in ensuring long-term success for the business.
So a family council stands as an overarching board to make sure that the family values and the family constitution is properly followed. So it's really just like another business within the family. What you want to do is make sure that this trust stands in a way such that it can be the pillar for the business and make sure that going forward whether there's conflict, whether there's a challenge in the business environment, whatever it is, the business is able to stand through that.
And you did, talk about it's not what's passed on, but the process and the structure set, in passing on wealth. But how do you think family businesses can manage conflict and maintain harmony across generations? Because you have instances where there's still structure in who gets what, but there's still disharmony.
So the basic is talk, communication. We sometimes take our family members for granted, but talking through it helps a lot. And also, when you are not unable to reach a mutual agreement, it is important to invite a mediator, whether it's someone that you know or an outside organization, to come in and step in to help bridge the gap. There's nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to asking for help. I think that's really important. And also outsourcing whatever role that may be contentious. So if you realize that there's a business function that another non-family member can play, it may be a good time to hire someone else outside the family.
Now, talking about hiring someone else, we keep talking about succession plan because we've seen most businesses fail because they're not able to, get who's going to take on the reins of responsibilities, next. So what strategies can family businesses employ, to, help mitigate that risk and also foster entrepreneurial spirits, for the business?
I think one thing is to diversification, encouraging transformation of existing business lines and also creation of new business lines, understanding that a business cannot function in perpetuity without growth. Having a culture of innovation and growth, it helps a whole lot. When people know that my ideas will be heard, they may not be implemented immediately, but they will be heard. And many times, if they're not implemented, there's a good business case for it. I think it's really important to establish that culture of innovation, of growth, of adaptability, of fluidity, and having a workforce that is able to bring new ideas and new ways of doing things can help with that.
And what kind of policies do you think we can, see from the government to help, keep these family businesses, going in the foreseeable future?
I think one way would be not even just loans, more support for family businesses. Because right now, family businesses add about 50% to the GDP. They account for about 50% of our GDP. I think encouraging family values, encouraging a specific way of raising people. We need to go back to our roots and look for our traditions and our values and build each person individually and encourage businesses, encourage business in families, maybe even have a campaign of sorts. I think that will help a lot.
All right, we'll definitely keep tracking to see how much these family business, keep adding to our GDP. Thank you so much, Oyiko Kinyoshoye, is the Chief Operating Officer, My Family, My Business. Thank you for sharing your morning with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so it's still earnings season right here and all over the world, but I'll be analyzing results from Nestle, Seplat, and Transcorp PLC. That's our next discussion. Do stay with us.